right behind this might be the scariest thing that I have seen this entire Halloween. Let me just show you guys. It's so bad, there's a hole the size of my head back here, and I had no clue that it was there. Today's video is gonna be all about how we discovered this, removing some of these pieces to reveal it, and really talk about what we're gonna be doing to fix this mess. So welcome back to Joe's Garage, everybody. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of Subaru Saturday, and let's get right into today's video. Something I didn't do last week was, to chop this back. So yeah, I'm gonna end up cutting this a lot, way far back, so we can get a good idea of how bad that casing is on the strut tower. I'm not sure how it's gonna go, just because, like I said, we're getting pretty dramatic here with these cuts. I'm gonna follow this one up. I'm gonna go like pretty much just across here, a little under the windowsill, and then all the way down over here. The best I possibly can. It's gonna be a fat chunk out of this side of the car. It's just something I've never done before, so, like the rest of this process from here on out, it's all learning, and I'm pretty excited to see what happens. And we're gonna get a really good idea of how the rust is inside of there once I'm done with this. So we might just jump in the car really quick, remove everything we need to remove to see it from the inside, that rust that I was talking about. If I'm able to do that from in there and show you guys, perfect, we'll show you and then we'll cut this. If not, we're just gonna cut this and go from there. Let's get right to it. So this came apart easy. This is what I was saying, but I just took that back panel off, and this is the exterior of the car. You can see my hand, I'm reaching around. That's the exterior of the car. There's really not much in between the two, but it looks like the rust is really bad here in the rocker also. Right here is what I'm really concerned about, because it's not the strut tower essentially, but it's the plating around the strut tower, which we're gonna have to fix. I'm just not sure how I'm gonna be able to fix this. We're gonna go ahead, cut that panel off on the other side so we can really get a good idea about what this looks like. All right, everybody, really quickly, I wanna ask you guys a question. One of my favorite supporters, Elad Fitz, left me a comment in last week's video saying, maybe I should try this out, and that's exactly what we're gonna do. What is a car that you wish you had back, or one you consider the one that got away? I have very many of these because I used to buy and sell cars at the auction at a little used car dealership, and one that tops the list is my 2015 Cadillac ATS. It had the 2.0 turbo engine, all-wheel drive, black leather. The car was so nice. But I did end up wholesaling that back at the auction, and I really wish I had that back. But that leads me into you guys. I'm really curious to hear which one it is for you, so make sure to leave me the year, make, and model, and maybe a little backstory about the car that you wish you had back. I reply to all my comments. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. I'm looking forward to seeing the results of this question, so make sure to do that for me, and let's just jump right back into the work on the 2.5 RS. Okay. All right, so I'm literally just using that paper as a straight edge, so I can put a piece of tape across that's in a fairly straight line, so while I use the cutoff wheel, I can try and make a nice, clean, straight cut. Go ahead and take a peek at what that looks like. So I can kind of follow this. Go ahead and line this up here. Look guys, I wanted to point out, check it, I have some new gloves. They're Eastwood branded. I was there picking up supplies for the 2.5 RS. Let's get cutting. And on top of the new gloves, my wife cares for me so much and always hears me complaining when I'm home about how my eyes are dry or they itch, I've got crap in them. She bought me these over the glasses safeties. I am getting older, and I know that's funny for some of you guys when I say I'm getting older, but like I said, I slept wrong and my neck has been killing me for 4 days, so I'm starting to feel the effect of this work. I'm gonna go ahead and cut the rest of this piece out without stopping. I just wanted to point that out. Gloves, safeties, we're getting there, guys. Together, we're getting there. Thank you to my wife, Katie. I really appreciate the safety glasses. Let's keep working. go. And that is a massive piece we just cut off. And I wanted to keep this intact. I wanted to make sure I had this piece for the gas door still, which we do, and it's in good shape. So yeah, there you guys go. It's a solid cut right there. If I needed to use this piece again, I really could weld it back in place. So ironically, this side is not as bad as the driver's side, which I'm pretty pleased about, because the driver's side's got a gaping hole here, which I'm gonna punch some of this out and show you guys what I mean. But let's see how bad this rust really is. You know, there's no reason to save it at this point. Yeah, you can see this is pretty much what the hole is on the opposite side also. It's just completely rotted through over there. And oh yeah, this goes down a little bit. Let's see if I can show you guys. Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's worse than I expected, I guess. Because I thought this side wasn't gonna be as bad as the other side. And yeah, does that go through? Yep, that goes right through. So it is pretty close to the strut tower. I think from what I'm seeing here is you could just barely see my fingers in here. Let me see if I can show you. Yeah, great. Well, it's getting worse as I go. You know, here's the solid piece of the strut tower, but I can't really tell. Let's use the camera from, oh yeah, take a look at that. Yeah, we gotta get in there and replace that. That's bad. That's just not good. That sucks. Well, it is what it is. We're gonna fix it. I think we're gonna have to trim some of this off to get in there to weld a panel in for the strut tower. Luckily, it's all there. Like I guess there being a hole there isn't like totally just destroyed, because I'm gonna be able to weld in a panel. That's where we're at on the passenger side. We're gonna be doing the exact same thing to the driver's side here in a few moments. You know, essentially do the same cut. This is pretty good. There we go. Right off the initial rip, you could just see how much worse the rust is right here, which... Okay, so just like the front of the vehicle, on this driver's side, the rust is worse. This strut tower, where this B-pillar meets, is way worse. And we even have holes going right inside the car. So this is something we're definitely gonna have to fix, and I'm just not sure what I'm gonna do yet. I'm not thrilled about it, but it is what it is. So the strut tower itself, where the strut meets the car, isn't so bad, but this piece obviously is completely shot. But I think this is by far the worst rust on the car. All right, everybody, so I had a night to sleep on it, and I did discuss it with a few different people, what we're gonna be doing with this piece here. So we are gonna be starting with this side over here on the passenger side. I'm gonna do my best to be nice and clean. I don't wanna cut anything. I don't intend to, but I'm gonna go ahead and take my cutoff wheel. We're gonna go from here right across, nice and clean and straight as possible. And then we will be drilling out these spot welds. I don't have a special drill for it. I'm just gonna be using drill bits. I'm gonna go through both panels, so when I go to line it back up, we have no issue. We're able to just line the holes up. But I'm pretty excited. This is pretty cool, guys. This is fun. It's different, it's new, it's exciting, so we're gonna go for it. I'm not gonna waste too much time talking here. First thing we gotta do is knock back some of this rust so I can actually see the spot welds. So I have this nifty tool my dad's always telling me to use when I start drilling. It's a little tough. Hope I don't pinch my finger. But it makes a nice little spot for you to start you're drilling the hammer. Okay, so now that we have each spot weld with a little starter punch, we're gonna go ahead and get the drill up here and see if we can get them knocked out. That was a lot more difficult than it looked, I'll tell you what. All right, let's get a bigger drill bit on there and knock all these out. And then this might come right off. I'm not sure yet. All right, so overall, that was a little more difficult than expected just because, you know, I was doing this for the first time, so I didn't know what I was doing. And, you know, I'm a little upset with myself that I hit this here and I hit up here. I don't know how I missed that. I just wasn't paying attention. It is what it is, no big deal. It took a little bit of beating on this here where it was really rusty. You know, I might have missed some of the spot weld with the drill, but I was pretty surprised how attached that was. But let's just go for it. Check it out. You know, this is where we need to fix that rust that I was discussing with you guys, and we couldn't do that when we had this over top. So let's just go ahead, I'll put this back up here and show you guys. Yeah, so obviously it was hidden back there. And I will say this is such a cheap piece of tin metal. I was worried about it being so structural, but it's really just another piece to support this wheel well here. So let's go ahead and peel some of this rust back here. You know, this is where we have the major issue, and unfortunately on the driver's side this is even worse. So yeah, what we're gonna do is just peel this back, knock it all down, see what's usable, if any of it's usable. Excuse me, if any of this is usable. I'm a little worried that this goes up higher than I expected it to. You know, I might just have to, I don't know. I'm a little bummed that it goes a little higher than where I cut. I don't want to cut any higher on the panel to make this a higher cut either. So I'm hoping that, you know, me putting a piece in here and maybe just sealing it up will prevent this from getting any worse. I don't know if this is completely through here. Maybe I can see that from inside of the trunk. Let's go look around. Yeah, unfortunately that's all behind here, which is pretty clean. You know, here's the back of the strut tower, and there's like this little opening here that I'm just not really able to get to, so that kind of stinks. Yeah, so I'm not exactly sure what I'm gonna do up there. I might just get a little piece. You know, I got that belt sander which I could get in here, knock this down, and then possibly I could just put a piece in there and weld it as best as I possibly can. I don't know, we're gonna go ahead and knock that down to really see what we're working with there. I'd love to hear what you guys think about this. My idea here is that, you know, we're gonna get a piece. We're gonna clean this up as far back as we have to, get a piece, weld it in. Oh, you know, I guess what I could do is, and I know I'm going too long talking here, guys, I'm so sorry. It's just my brain, you know, I have to speak out loud, and even when I'm not getting it on camera, I talk to myself like this the entire time. So I think what I could do is just make one solid piece here. Even if I brought even if I brought it down to the wheel well, maybe like to here, all the way here, and then a piece attached to it here also that fits. Because if that is the case, you know, that'd be really solid if I had one piece attached all to cover the whole thing. It'll be more structurally sound also. It'll be nice and strong. As long as we remove all this metal that's rusty, I will have no issues with that. So we're gonna do this exact same thing to the other side. I'm not gonna talk as much, and I'm just gonna do the highlights of me removing it, but I promise you guys the other side is even worse, and this is completely rotten on the other side. But now you guys can see that, unfortunately, this side is worse. Now on the passenger side, I had this door card removed so you could see through this, and we were looking at it through the interior. I am gonna do that. I just haven't done it quite yet. But we've got a big hole here, which on the other side, it's not nearly as bad. And we've got a hole here through the trunk. Again, on the other side, it's there, but it's not as bad. You see that we had this hole here. You know, it wasn't even holding the spot welds. And this side is really soft. You know, you can't see any major holes through it, but I was hitting it and it looked like it was gonna bust earlier. So I'm sure we're gonna be able to use some of this, but worst case, you know, I replaced this whole piece of the arch because you guys can see some of this is actually pretty solid. And, you know, I'm not sure what we're gonna do for the wheel arch yet, or the wheel well, how I'm gonna create that, if I can find one in good shape and just weld that one in. I'm just not quite sure yet, but you know, you get a good idea of how this looks too under here. On the other side, it was just as bad, and I'm hoping that, you know, this doesn't just go right through, because it would be difficult to patch this up. But again, what I'm gonna do is I'll end up making the piece that comes up into there, and then covering all of this all in one piece of metal. That way it's more solid rather than me putting a piece up here, a piece here, and a piece, you know, just piecing it in. Like I was saying, I don't think this part of the strut tower is in bad shape, which is pretty good. I mean, that's one of the most important things. And if this was gone, I think we'd have more trouble on our hands and a lot more work. But since that's pretty solid, obviously we're gonna knock it down. I'll probably even blast it to remove all the rust, re-seam seal it, and, you know, coat this in the undercoating while we do the wheel well. Like, I'm gonna do all this at once. That's why, you know, I guess if I can get these pieces figured out, weld it in, you know, now that I have this knocked down. I didn't do the other side, but, you know, we'll seal this up all at once. I'll continue to remove anything down here and just really get these wheel wells sorted out, because it's just, you know, again, this is pretty much where the worst of the rust is. Also, you know, down this way too, the rust is really bad, which, you know, we talked about that in the previous video, how I'm gonna try and find a corner for this, because above it's pretty solid, but when you get into there, inside the trunk, it gets pretty bad. So yeah, we're gonna look for another piece to just cut completely out and put in place there. And there you have it, guys. We got those cases off. So at first, you know, when I had pulled back the wheel well, or I actually cut the fenders off and saw the holes in the side of the strut tower, I was pretty concerned. I was thinking to myself, you know, this is gonna be a bigger issue than really what it is, because it's not so structural, I guess. It doesn't really interfere with the strut tower. It's very solid in there still, but it is part of the entire seal here. We have to have a nice seal, and it'll help the structurability. I know I'm probably saying that funny, but you know, it'll help to have that nice and solid. This way, no moisture gets in there, it's sealed, it's strong. We'll put that casing back on top, you know, that piece that we just cut out here, which is completely shot. We're gonna end up finding a new one, I hope. But like I said, I probably could make it, but that'd be pretty difficult. That's a high level of expertise, if you ask me. So I'm not too worried about it. We're just gonna keep pushing and working through this the best I possibly can. You know, I'm not expecting perfection, especially down here. Nobody's gonna see this stuff, period. Nobody's gonna see this. It just needs to be nice and solid. That's the bottom line. So, you know, I'm pretty excited because I've never really done it, and it's kind of fun to like build the panels, patch them in, weld them up. You know, it's a little bit different than what I usually do, but obviously, guys, we have a lot more to go on this car. We still have to do the rockers, and there is some floor pans we're going to be replacing and fixing also. So this is just a start, and like the radiator core support, it's another place where I'm able to practice this work before it's like anywhere on the body that's visual, because I guess I will be welding in this panel when we get back to that. That's why I tried to make such a clean cut. We'll probably weld that piece back in and then get a smaller piece to fill it out. I mean, I'm just not quite sure how that'll go yet. We still have a pretty decent bit before we can get to that point. So thanks for hanging in there with me, guys. I'm pretty excited about this. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do next. If I just clean these holes up, remove the rust, knock it down, and then get ready for the next week's video. Because if that's the case, we'll end up building these panels or getting them from the junkyard and doing that in next week's video. So if that's the case, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate all of you guys, and I'm really starting to enjoy this build because we're getting to the point where, you know, we're almost ready to start really building this thing. You know, the engine bay is pretty much done. Once I get all of this rust taken care of, you guys already know it's time to start throwing it together and spending the money to get the parts we need and get this car built. So yeah, let's just keep on it and, you know, we'll get there together, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace out.